following podcast contains mature language and adult discussion.
Just getting ready for the Stampede. Going with the tape fist today. I got a gig in my Kliq This Kevin Nash podcast. Kev, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Where'd you hide your gig when you had to?
I always used a. It was crazy because like all the old time guys would get a razor blade, they'd cut it up with a pair of scissors.
Yeah.
And I always went to the whoever was there, medic or whatever, and I've still got background. I'm still listening to our background music. Is
we're still coming in.
Oh, we're just okay.
We're coming in. Coming in slow.
That's too fucking. It's too much for me, man. I'd really groove to that to talk.
Oh.
But I would always use a scalpel.
God damn, really?
Yeah, I use a scalpel, and you cut the scalpel in half. I don't even know if people even know how you gig, but say like this is the pencil. So that's the end of the fucking the end of the scalpel. So you put white tape.
Either that or that's Hop Singh's cock.
You put white tape around it to where you have it the depth that you want that little shark's tooth to. I always cut the same place. I always cut right here.
In the hairline?
Yeah, right here. I wasn't doing the,
Do you have any scar tissue up there now, or was it fine enough that you didn't?
Yeah, I was not. Yeah, I only got color when it was absolutely necessary.
I'm trying to remember ever seeing you bleed. I can't.
We got color with Booker one time at the championship match. Hell in a Cell. Yeah.
Who showed you how to do it? Did you?
Barry Windham.
Really?
Yeah, Barry showed me.
Everyone remembers who did their first.
It was funny too because we were in Knoxville, Tennessee when he showed me, and I was working in a tag match against Giant Gonzalez, and I fucking made a blade, and Giant Gonzalez gave me like the karate chop to the forehead, and I staggered away from him, and I got color, turned back into him, and he looked at me like.
I have a question about him later. We're going to talk about we'll talk about a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff, guys. You're loving what we're doing. I always give you some feedback. One of the promises we've made to our people, Kevin, is that they would always be part of the show. So we always want to hear their feedback, good or bad. A lot less bad, I'm noticing. LMA said, unfortunately, you got it wrong in the show. Last week's show about Vince. It said, but Vince was accused for forcing a wrestler into an act. That was the 7.5 payoff. Story mentions the word coerced sexual. Okay, so there was one allegedly coerced
but that's
act in the Wall Street Journal story.
Allegedly.
Of course, yeah. No, yeah. There's not been a trial or anything, so yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I can only go on,
You were allegedly popped in the ass in summer of 1992, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Until it's proven, we.
It was funny, some of the feedback, like, wow, I can't believe you covered that. I'm like, would you like me to talk about Santa Claus?
It's next week after the Bunkhouse Stampede. Blue Elvis, our son is about to go into surgery for his manhood. This is a tie into Bluechew, maybe. Something that needs to be done for medical reasons. Wish us luck. He's a huge fan of Big Daddy Cool. So we sent him a little, good luck. And then a day later, we got a picture of the baby. And it said, he's all good. Everything went smooth. He's as tough as the hitman he was named after. Little Bret, thanks everyone for the positive vibe. So Blue Elvis and Little Bret, happy to hear that you guys are doing good. That Little
Very
Bret's
much
doing well. Rob Palmer, I listen every week. I turn it up to 11. Soft. Thank you, Rob. Anthony Maurizio, my favorite part of StarCast events was Kliq This Live. Kevin Nash, Kayfabe Sean, should take the stage show on the road. Very entertaining. Now, of course, that is in the plans, Kev.
Yep.
What are some good cities? Now, you're much more well-traveled than I. So what do you think would be hot cities, as hot as Nashville, perhaps, for a little live Kliq This action?
I mean, just any place that's number one. You can go two ways. You're going to go to the biggest metropolitan areas that you can and find, like, cool venues, or you can. I don't like the bar that bar thing when it's at a bar. Like that's not my gig. Yeah. So.
But let's see. Let's throw out one. There's a fan. I don't know if he wrote us this, if he's in here. You tend to Wilkes Bar. You tend to throw out a lot. So somebody actually sent a shout out. I guess he's from Wilkes Bar, PA. How would that be? That'd be good. That'd be a good spot. Should we look into a little Wilkes Bar action?
Yeah, good little city.
All right, works. And playing off of that last comment, Cowboy Shit says, please come to Michigan, Big Kev. I'm a third shift auto worker, and you and Sean make my job fun. Hope to attend a show soon. Of course, we got to go to the home state, right?
I mean, I've got my hallway in the background here, haven't we?
Oh, there you
go. Sorry about that.
A third shift UAW.
Well, where he's working, he's got to be working either Rouge or Warren.
What are those, plant names or city names?
Rouge puts out. They still put out the Mustang there. Yeah, or Flat Rock. I think maybe it's Flat Rock they do that now.
Oh.
But
Cowboy Shit, let us know.
Where you working at? What plant you working at?
Retro Gamer says, ugh, I love the wrestling podcasts, the good ones, but I really hate getting 7,000 video clips in my feed of stuff I've already seen in full format. I really wish there was a separate channel for the clips of each. I just got to say, if we put stuff on and charged people for it, they would take to the streets with torches, okay? So you put stuff out for free in some way and maybe cut some clips on YouTube to make some money to keep a show going and keep it free for people, and that's a fucking problem for people. It's just, folks, it's either a pay system or it's an ad system. Come on, guys, really? It's fucking free, man. You can put this on whenever you want. I know. I'm sorry you get notifications. Retro Gamer, I'm sorry that you got a notification this week, that Kevin talked about XYZ on the last show. It's just this new, this new breed of media fan. Not to be inconvenienced in any way. Starting hot. I came out hot today.
Yeah, you did.
Hot.
I'm fighting off food poisoning, so I'm kind of docile today.
Are you sitting on a bucket or something? Do you have some towels down just in case?
No, if I do this, it means
Code Brown.
Yeah.
All right, Pat Buck, a professional wrestler and recently hired, I think Pat was hired as I'm going to get the title wrong, the blah, blah, blah vice executive of something, training maybe, at AEW. I worked with Pat and his federation for a while when I was producing a wrestling reality TV series. But Pat's a good guy, and I'm glad to see he got hired there, and he was a good talent, and he said really need more of Nash's wine picks. Does he enjoy any rosé or Sauvignon Blanc?
I like a rosé in the summertime.
As difficult to find an acceptable rosé as a red. I know you're very picky with your reds. They can be pricey.
Because most of the rosés are like 12% alcohol. I found a couple. One is actually it's French, but it actually in English would be travel, but I'm sure it's called Travel, and it's like a 14.5 rosé, and it kind of looks like it's a very, very dark, it's not that pink rosé. It's a very dark colored. I'll tell you one that I like is that Maribel, the one that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie had a piece of. I don't know if they still do, but that's a tasty rosé for, I don't know, $21, $23, whatever it is.
Would you wanted a piece of Angelina ever, or just too crazy for you with the whole blood around the neck and everything? Just a little too much of the crazies with Angelina, or hot enough?
She was, that was one of my,
One of your go-tos?
I mean, I've always thought she was attractive.
Oh,
Ever since
attractive.
since she drove off with Chuck Zito and Gia. So.
Oh, Gia, right? That film about the fashion model, right? I remember
Yeah.
that. She had some nice exposure in that film. Michael, I agree with Nash. 223, 556 is a varmint round. I have no fucking idea. You're going to have to help me. And is trash for big game hunting. If you're going to hunt and kill an animal, then you owe it enough respect to give it a quick, clean death. Plus, who the fuck wants to track an animal for a long time if you don't need to?
Everybody that said that they use an AR-15 have done some modification where it's basically a 30-06 that they're shooting. It's not the combat round that tumbles and, it's just like.
What's a varmint round?
A varmint.
Am I pronouncing it right?
Yeah, a varmint's like a rat, rodent, chipmunk, squirrel.
Oh, so so you're talking about the animal, like
Yeah.
like a vermin, varmint. I see.
Yeah.
Very good. Thought it was a type of bullet. Fuck do I know? I'm from New Jersey. Have to go through hell to get a gun.
You could shoot it with a fucking Benjamin air rifle, a .177 air rifle, and fucking kill it. You can shoot the damn thing.
King Dre's, people who hunt with the AR-15 for coyotes and boars. No, not deer or squirrels. And the only reason they use an AR-15 for those are because, we got to get our articles right here, because you can get a .223 caliber one and bigger magazines. That makes sense to some people out there probably, right, Kev?
I don't know. I lived in Arizona. We had coyotes around our property. I mean, I want to think that I shot one off the porch with a 30-06. Probably 190, 200-foot shot.
You know what the most passionate debate on Twitter was this week? It had nothing to do with guns. I mean, in the beginning, it was all that stupid shit. But the most passionate debate this week was between listeners talking about your suggestion about being able to do more for Raw with 2 hours as opposed to the 3. And people were getting hot. They're getting passionate about listing their reasons why a 3-hour was necessary versus people who were saying if you trimmed it down and got more concise, you could do more with 2 hours. Did you see any of that?
I tell you what I did. I watched Raw. And lo and behold, for a while there, Raw was 3 hours and 33 minutes. At 3 hours on Monday, that motherfucker was done. So, on top of that, it's like Chapo versus Bobby Lashley. Solid match, clean finish. AJ Miz, clean finish. I thought a match I really liked was I'm a huge Ziggler fan anyway, but Ziggler and Gable had a match that started off with a lot of collegiate wrestling and just had a completely different feel than the spot fest that you see a lot of other places. So the first thing that I noticed when Triple H took over the show was the first Monday, Becky Lynch came out and basically reclaimed the babyface status. It made her super over, and they've kind of corrected that whole thing. And then with Bayley coming back, so it seems like the women's division is it's up and running, and it was good TV.
They're getting a lot of time.
Yeah, and they're also the women's tag tournament started, and so that's some good storyline there. And it's good because it's it's every week you're following the storyline. The storyline is the championship, so it takes a lot away from having to just meaninglessly have just conversations and dialogue, and it just everybody knows what's at stake, and you go in and you wrestle for the title. So
If you trimmed the talk, right, you could probably get close to the 2 hours. You'd have to lose a match or two, but you could probably get close to the 2 hours just by trimming the skits and the talk, right? Not that the talk is always bad. I mean, certainly. I mean, if we're going to go back, talk about with the NWO's opening segment, well, that was always the 9 o'clock segment, right? And that was the ratings juggernaut there. So
a lot of times though we come at 10. A lot of times we'd come at. I mean, it was usually 9, I think, because did we start at 8?
You started at 8. Vince
Yeah.
went on at 9. So you
Yeah.
guys wanted the hot segment there, yeah.
They started all the work rate was all the first hour. That was all the Eddie and that crew.
But if we talk about 2 hours now, obviously, right? You have to keep. You sold to advertisers a 3-hour show, right? And
Absolutely.
You're charging a certain rate.
You're not giving money back.
No, right, exactly. So you've got to do something with an hour somewhere. It could be like a pre-show or a post-show, something. But it would be kind of pulled out from the start to finish Raw broadcast. Yes.
I still think that there's a place that they can still get that commitment to on the same program to go, like I said, Friday Night Late, do an hour of just, like a rawer, more adult driven and do, try to get maybe even an M-rated show.
Oh, I see. So, okay. So split it. So do Friday night 1 hour, Monday night 2 hours. And so Raw or Raw Uncensored Friday, and then Monday Night Raw on Monday. And that's your 3 hours.
Yeah.
Got it. Understood. I was reading about this week's Raw, and I was looking at the ratings. I often have to remind myself to look at those numbers in like 99. So let's look at this. Let's look at this year. Can we bring up a graphic? I have some numbers of this year's ratings. It's, if you're watching us, it's on the right side there. And so last night's broadcast, right, was the 0.54. A week ago, coming out of SummerSlam, it was 0.61, a little higher. And going into SummerSlam on 7/25, that was 0.50, half a point. Going back a week before that, 0.46, almost half a point. On the left side of the screen, I have the fucking Raw and Nitros from 1999, and those are full 4s, 5s, 6s, 6.5, 6.3. Just for, and I'm not the first person to point this out, obviously, but just for a younger fan who maybe doesn't, when people talk about like boom periods in the business and hey, they watch now and they follow now and they follow the ratings, maybe they're into the business aspect, they read Meltzer's letter, website, just to get people's heads around what kind of fucking business was done in 99. It's remarkable.
Yeah, there's tens, like you look at, it's hard for me to read that, 14th of March. Is that a
March 14th is a 6.46, a 10 share, but the ratings points are a 6.46.
Yeah.
Which is a 10 share of the audience. I mean, they going even back further in the 80s to like Saturday night's main event when they would go up like against in place of Saturday Night Live, they pull 10s.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I guess, of course, there's more competition for attention now. Entertainment has just become
and the cable
more
rating back then.
diversified.
A cable one was, I think, $6.99 back then. Like a cable one was 699,000 homes
Versus a broadcast, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was just I go back and I look at that, and I'm looking at how the ratings are doing now and comparing and looking. Okay, a 0.5 last week, a 0.61 this week, and you forget they were 7.2s. Not too long ago. If you're my age, not too long ago. If you're 20,
Well,
it's a lifetime. But
I think that was one of the things that where Monday Night Football was just like, what the fuck, Like, this wrestling thing isn't going away.
oh yeah, when it started cutting in back
Yeah,
then. Oh yeah,
started
because you
cut-
look
yeah.
at like 1985 or whatever. Fucking Monday Night Football was doing like a 20.
Yep.
Ridiculous. But then when in the 90s with wrestling, they were still doing good numbers. It was in the teens. It was in
Yeah.
the low teens, 12, 13, 14. But wasn't like before that.
I always thought it was the loss of Don Meredith.
Don Meredith?
Yeah, it was the finger poke of doom for Monday Night Football.
Not when they told Howard that he couldn't call, Art Monk a look at that little monkey run.
No, that was Jimmy the Greek.
No, Jimmy the Greek did the extra bone in the leg gimmick. At the bar, they came up to him and they asked for, if anyone doesn't know, there was a commentator, prognosticator, Jimmy the Greek, who gave the odds for those that liked to lay a little money on football. And so someone came up to him at a bar and asked him why he thought the African-American athlete was superior, clearly baiting a very intoxicated Jimmy the Greek, who went on to explain into a microphone that black people were born with an extra bone in their legs. This isn't me. You look it up. And that was the end of Jimmy the Greek shortly thereafter.
God.
Speaking
of FBI raids,
was anyone in your safe today, Kev?
no. Wow, what the fuck, right?
Well,
what a night to have diarrhea.
You need some probable cause to be able for them to come in and go into your safe, Kev. So anyone we know of that might have had someone in their safe, there's probably a lot of probable cause.
My whole thing is I watched a lot. I watched Fox almost nonstop last night and today, and
gave you the runs.
Yeah, but it's one of those situations where if he didn't do anything wrong, we basically just gave them Trump 2024.
Oh, if it's exonerated and there's nothing found.
Yeah, there's nothing
that's
there.
A problem. Sure.
I mean, because because there was an old saying, this is back in my SPC days, a guy that came up with it was Deming. And Deming would do lectures, and he would say that when somebody gets on a plane and they put down the fuck is that thing called? The tray.
Mm-hmm.
When they put down the tray and there was a coffee stain on it and they hadn't used it yet, they would immediately go, fuck this. Anybody do maintenance on the engines? And that's kind of what this does. So if this witch hunt, is a witch hunt, and so then all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe there was credence to this, maybe there was credence to this. But when they sat there on Fox News this afternoon, they had a panel, and the one lady who's used to be a judge, who's just, I mean, I think they just wind her up just for fucking sound bites. But she's going on about it could just as easily been about something that was going on in Georgia, or he was up in New York for that deposition. She named like 9 things he's involved in. I'm to think of myself like,
yeah, that's a bit of an indictment there. Yeah,
and you're actually fucking on a right wing television show. Like,
they should be kind of excited because
I would be.
They obviously. Probably, I didn't watch it, but they probably are taking the position that he shits ice cream and he hasn't done anything wrong. So this is clearly going to exonerate him publicly. They should be very excited that they went into that system.
I heard last night when it first came, I was watching this is the typical night for me. I was watching NBA TV. I was watching a 1987 Game 4 Celtics versus the Lakers.
So when they passed the fucking ball.
And I fucking, so I pick up my, uh, my phone just to see what's going on, because I've been watching this game for like an hour. And, I see where it's, Trump's, statement. So I walk into the kitchen and my wife's sitting in there with my mother-in-law. And I said, fuck, I said, did you hear about the fucking raided, Mar-a-Lago today? She said, I'm watching it right now. So I sat down and, I'm watching this. And at that point it was 100 agents and, everything else. It ended up being 30 agents. I didn't get where how it was a pre-dawn, they said it was like nothing coincided with anything they said. Then they said that they went in and nobody had, they went in, plain clothes. They didn't have the, blue windbreaker with the yellow FBI on it. They went in plain clothes. And, they kept showing the aerial view of Mar-a-Lago. I'm thinking, that motherfucker is worth how many billion? You can't get that roof fixed? Taking fucking blue tarps off the top? What the fuck? But
it's off season. It's too hot. I think it closes down in the hotter months.
Yeah, but I looked at that last night, and then there was like people that were along the beach, like down the road a ways, like they were waiting for a space shot or something. Or just like,
oh, it's like when they line up on the Space Coast when they do the launch.
And they're just like, what were they expecting? Like, are you that fucking stupid that you didn't realize? Like, they showed him on Fox News getting into the back of a Suburban or whatever the fuck he was, in New York City.
Well, more to come on that.
Yeah.
You mentioned a couple of weeks ago you did some work with Omos,
right?
The big guy. And I wanted to ask you something. I didn't realize, I was reading up on him today. It's kind of an interesting figure. Former basketball player,
Yes.
Central Florida, University of Central Florida or something.
No, that's Taco Fall. Listen, played there.
No, but where did he play though? I thought he.
I think he's Nigerian.
He's Nigerian, but I thought he played in the States. All right. Well, I'll look. My research is flawed. But anyway, what's not flawed is the fact that he's a big motherfucker, and he's been there for 2 years. I didn't realize this. And the piece I was reading, they were positing that Vince he's a stubborn cat, I guess, right? So he gets something in his head, and he's going to make it work. And so they were talking about or writing about the inability to get him in the sweet spot where they wanted him as a big guy. And that he may be, but Vince stayed with him, but he may be more in jeopardy now as Trips might have a little less of a tolerance. So I'm going to ask you as a big guy, what is it that keeps a big guy intriguing year over year? If you could fly off something 11 different ways, that's one thing, but to keep a big guy scary, what do you got to do?
Well, I don't think you put him against two guys on your number one broadcast, and don't even announce who these two guys are, and just be, well, it really doesn't fucking matter because this match doesn't fucking matter because we know what the outcome is. I don't think that helps.
How about the headgear? Did that?
Yeah, the headgear
add
guy.
Any credibility?
Yeah,
that something maybe was going to happen there.
Yeah, especially when he had a chance to do anything, he jumped on his back, not single leg dive or anything. Nothing, nothing headgear worthy was produced there.
Could have had so much fun with that. I would have given them the names of classic jobbers like AJ Petruzzi, Bill Mulkey, Rusty Brooks.
They should have never took him again away from AJ, but they turned AJ baby.
Styles,
so
AJ.
Yeah, I mean that's where you learn so much. I learned so much being Sean's bodyguard. But it's a different, and he's a different animal too, man. He's a lot. He's a legitimate He went to South Florida is where he went.
Oh, it's South Florida.
That's
Okay.
where it was, South Florida. He's a legitimate 7'2", probably. You know,
Yeah.
that's a bigger. He's just a bigger. Sometimes it's just. We always had our philosophy in the car was the only way you can get over is chicks got to want to fuck you and guys got to want to be you.
Be like you, right? It's the old actor thing.
That's yeah. So it's
the
just,
James Dean deal.
You know, so if they made him like, instead of a giant, if they made him a, you know, like his family was incredibly rich in mineral rights, and because he's articulate, you know, I say like. He's out there going, wah,
The monster.
yeah, it's like,
thing, yeah.
you know, I don't know.
But let's look at some of the big guys, right, from the past. Present company excluded, okay, because we're never going to be able to be totally objective. You mentioned Gonzalez before.
Right.
Okay. Khali more recently. Was a Big Show, and if you go back for the Andre Stud, big guys that were successful versus big guys that had a shelf life. Now, Andre is a totally different category because he was the novelty act. Okay,
Right.
He was never considered to really be assimilated and melted into the melting pot of the roster. He came into town. It was like, Andre's here.
He was just an attraction.
Right. But guys that were roster guys, like Big Show. Big Show was over.
Yep.
Why was Paul over, but like Khali, like other than the dance, I guess, like it never would have worked. Is that all about the mic?
Yeah, Paul could talk.
Right. Okay. So if you get sent to developmental, right, and say, Kev, what's the magic here? It's focus more on mic with the big guys, but there's a natural thing too. I mean, focus on the mic. There are some guys you maybe just can never make interesting on the mic. They don't come across. There's just something. They could talk their heads off. You could give them a script. You could have Piper write it. It's just never going to happen. There's not a magnetism to some guys.
Yeah, but at the same time, you've got to do it. You got to find out what they like. You know, you got to find out what their interests are. I mean, you're going to be a lot more interesting if you're talking about things that are interesting to you. So.
A Gonzalez story for you. I just finished doing Todd Gordon's autobiography with him, and he has a story where Bill Alfonso, the ref for and manager in ECW, was on the road as Giant Gonzalez's handler for a while and manager, and got a call late at night to come down to the room, and he comes in, and Gonzalez tells Fonzie, he's like, listen, you fuck this girl for me. She can't take me right now. She can't take all of me. I need you to be the opening match, basically. And talk about a time when managers really took care of their talent. Like, I don't know how many times Freddie Blassie got called down to do it for Killer Khan.
Yeah, that cane though too, you know.
What's that?
But Blassie had that cane.
Oh, that's true too. Like he could shoehorn some shit in there.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Unlike an elk. But yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting to see. I love to watch stuff like that. How do you get out of a creative conundrum? Will Triple H continue it? See what he could do with the big guy? Is the big guy just gonna kind of fizzle out?
He's been off for a while. They kind of repackaged him
Yes.
last night. I think it was just to show, you know, that he was still there. They had new gear. I know he's been working out because I've seen some videos of him working out. So, I mean, he looked tighter. You know, he looked in better shape. You know, he can move. I mean, it's just his
Right,
problem.
what's
his
the
problem
problem?
is, well, in my time there, you know, there was always a plethora of 6'5", 300-pound guys.
That's true.
You know, so you always had, you know, I mean, something like Henry Godwin, who was like 6'5", 320 pounds, who could just snatch me and sidewalks. I mean, he could just. There were guys that could, and he could move. Phineas could move. You know, Papa Shango was 6'6", over 300. He could move. I mean, you had a ton of guys that you could work with and have, you know, athletic type matches instead of, you know, the battle of the dinosaurs.
Yeah. Sorry, I
So
just can't get Ernie Roth trying to open up a rat for Billy Graham out of my head. It'll go though eventually. Listen, it's time for the stiff one of the week. And, you know, our sponsor on the stiff one of the week is, you know, we're talking about a guy like Omos, right? Now, you imagine a guy like that, right, has a fucking rope that's going to need some assistance getting off the ground, right? You got to send a lot of blood flow down to that stovepipe to go up. And if he needs a boost of confidence that might happen, where can he turn? Where can he turn? Once he goes blue, he'll never go back. The Stiff One of the Week is sponsored by Bluechew. Guys, confidence can take you far in life. It can help in the bedroom, especially when it comes time to step up to the plate. And that's where Bluechew comes in. Bluechew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anywhere, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever the opportunity arises. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Best part, all done online. No sitting in the doctor's office. No playing around in the pharmacy. You're going to do it online, and within days, your product is going to be delivered. Bluechew's tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door in discreet packaging. With Bluechew, men everywhere are excited to see the postman, because when your package arrives, your package has arrived. We've got the biggest bowls of all. So if you can benefit from extra confidence when it comes time to perform, Bluechew can help. We've got a special deal for the listeners. Try Bluechew for free when you use our promo code NASH at checkout. Just pay $5 for shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code NASH to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. We thank you, Bluechew, for sponsoring this segment. All right. Now, this segment, this stiff one of the week is Bret. Bret on the Kliq. Let's see, Bret. Where are you, Bret?
It was Scott Hall, Shawn Michaels, and Kevin Nash that approached me in Germany about being the head of the Kliq.
I didn't know
that
this.
We would all take control of the top matches, and we would decide who worked with who, and we would take control of the whole company and start, you know, like Triple H would wrestle Shawn, and 1-2-3 Kid would wrestle. I remember Shawn tell me he would wrestle 1-2-3 Kid and Triple H and Razor Ramon. He was all they were gonna do is work with their friends. You know, they're gonna leave out everybody else in the dressing room, from Owen to Savio Vega and anyone else that deserved from Lex Luger to whoever you can think of, that they would all get bypassed over, and it would be just Shawn's friends and Kevin's friends, and 1-2-3 Kid would wrestle Shawn for the belt, and they'd control all the belts, and they'd control who makes the money and who gets paid. And I remember going, I don't want to be part of anything like that. It's not fair to the other wrestlers. And I said, everybody has a chance. If you're good enough to beat me, if someone's good enough to be the champion, then he'll be the champion because he's good enough.
I want to ask you first if you guys asked him to take control of your Kliq for you.
I don't remember having the conversation, but
would you have relinquished control of your group to Bret? Is it something that might have happened?
We didn't travel together.
Right.
But I mean, the thing is that, and if you look at the last match that before the Kliq was disbanded, it was Diesel and Shawn Michaels were the main event in a cage for the world title. Triple H was fighting Paul for the IC belt. Seems to me like we had all the belts anyway, so.
So you're saying maybe you didn't need Bret? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, fuck, I did. He was great. I had some of my best matches with Bret. So
it didn't hurt when he signed that WCW contract and you had that most favored nations either, did it?
No.
Bret played a significant role in your family's life.
No, Bret. So I've always I think he had more problems with different people in our clique than me.
Well,
I
Sean,
mean,
obviously, we could say it was Sean.
I mean, it's just, you know, Bret and I never had a problem.
All right. Florida man or Jersey guy? I'm going to read you 2 items now. You're going to tell me who's the Florida man, who's the Jersey guy.
Can we add Czechoslovakian dude to this?
Well, next week is the Outer Banks of Bulgaria versus the coastal towns of Czechoslovakia guy.
Nice.
All right, man arrested after buying meth and asking cops to test its authenticity.
Well, that sounds like my neighborhood. Next.
And B, opera singer can't work due to uncontrollable flatulence.
I'm gonna go.
Actually, sounds like your condo right now. But.
I'm gonna go with meth. What is methamphetamine, Florida, and what is uncontrollable the shits, New Jersey.
The drizzling shits up north. You're absolutely correct. Yeah, yet again, Kevin.
You can't say meth and not fucking. That's like it's a national fucking flower down here.
Well, let's see the city.
State
the
flower.
The opium.
State flower is fucking Sudafed.
Well, it wouldn't be the Poppy Act, right? It would be the meth is always kitchen made, right?
Yeah. Sudafed and all that.
Sudafed and your Drano. A Florida man was arrested for phoning the police to have some meth tested for authenticity after he purchased it from a local bar. Fox 13 reports Thomas Eugene Colucci of Spring Hill called 911 because he was worried he had purchased bath salts, telling officials he was an experienced drug user who knew it should feel different to
pull him
smoke.
Up. Pull that guy back up.
You know him?
Didn't he just write a check for like $49 million? Take the beard off of her. Is that our boy Jones? Kidding.
And let's see. Reference to Alex Jones, I would assume. Let's see. The other item was the opera singer. See, this is, I can see this. But when you can't work because it's so chronic, hit a damn. This is the story. Opera singer can no longer perform due to what is termed uncontrollable flatulence. Singer Amy Herbst ended up in the hospital after allegedly screwing a procedure that prevented her from returning to the opera stage. Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate there. All right, we'll be back. Triple H is next. Oh, what a tease, right? Is he next? All right, back. Kliq This, the Kevin Nash podcast. Probably the biggest news story of, I was looking at the ratings of everybody's shows like in the last few weeks, and like everyone got a pop for the Vince story. Everyone got the bump across the business, and it's probably going to be the biggest wrestling story of the year, right, Vince?
Yeah,
had to be.
Yeah.
But on the heels of this, Triple H is getting all the ink too. In every story now that references Vince's retirement, the transition of creative to Triple H, Kev's allowed to call him Paul, is the story. So I wanted to take an episode to get inside Triple H. It's kind of an enigma. I don't read a lot of dirt about him. I don't read a lot of stuff about him in all my years covering this business, whatever the fuck I used to do. He was a guy that was usually off the radar. So I thought, who better than his best friend to talk about him as a person, a worker, philosophy of, and maybe by learning the artist, you'll learn about the work to come. So I first want to know when you first became aware of him.
We were on the road, every Saturday, Sunday. And once, like we talked last week, once we did those tapings, and it was, 21, 23, whatever it was, straight days. So we're always on the road on the weekends. And a lot of times, for some reason, like weekends you didn't travel. It didn't wasn't such a push. It was usually larger towns on the weekends that we ran, and so if you were in Chicago, you'd stay in Chicago and then maybe make it after stay an extra night or something like that. And we'd always watch the WCW Saturday show, and he was terrorizing at the time.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it was his character, and he was like our favorite guy. Like he was like the Kliq's favorite guy. No, oh come on, man, terrorizes on TV.
From a fan standpoint,
Yeah, just he was just our guy. So we were somewhere, I don't know where I want to think we were in Massachusetts or someplace, but Killer Kowalski had broke Paul in. So Kowalski brought Paul to TV, and Paul had like on slacks and a fucking sports coat, polo. And he walked by us, and then Scott did that thing where you like walk behind somebody step for step. Paul turns around and looks, and there's fucking Scott, fucking with him. So then he had his tryout match, and we were all at the, of course, it was a fucking monitor sellout. And then he did really well. And we tried to get him like immediately. Who you traveling with? He said, well, I'm with Kowalski. So like, okay, well, next set of TVs, you're with us. And
why
said,
though? Well, how do you get there so fast?
Because he was already he was anointed before he got in because he was terrorizing. And then he went out there and tore it up. So just like, fuck, man. Like he was, he had the kind of, he worked like the rest of us did,
Right.
And plus the fact that he wouldn't like leave Kowalski, like he would not, like I came with Walter. I'm just going to stay with Walter.
Right.
It's like, a little bit of old school that we all appreciate. And the next trip we have is like, I think we're in like Portland, Maine. It's the first night. And kid goes in a couple too many somas, and we're at Denny's, and he fucking just, shaking, like full shakes. And we have to basically just we got to bail. We got to get out before, we get in trouble. So we get out there, and like, Sean like kind of gives kid kind of a smack in the face, like, come on, man, snap out of it. And Scott gives him one. And then Paul reaches across and gives him one. We're all like, hey, motherfucker, it's your first day. And
Jumped right in. Good for him.
Oh, yeah. And it was one of those deals where we were up all night wrestling with kid in a cold shower, like making him go in the shower and then walk him up and down the hallway. So we didn't know if he was going to OD or what. And this goes on all night. He starts to fade out. We're like, come on. And he's fighting, man. He's wiry and strong. He's like maniac strong. It's taken all of us to hold him in this ice cold shower and walk him up and down the hallways. We got the robe from the hotel that we're putting him in to walk him up and down the hallway. Finally, at about 6 o'clock, he falls asleep. And then I just sit there and I made sure he was breathing. And then about 9 o'clock, he woke up. I was just sitting there looking at him. He just looked at me and goes, love you, man. Just want to go ahead and take this time to say thank you for saving my life. And he just turned and went to bed. And I was like, yeah, don't mention it, man. We're cool. So that was like Paul's intro to traveling with us. Like the first day is like, what the fuck?
I was gonna say I never would have gotten in the car with you again. That would have been it. Not babysitting till 9 a.m.
Well,
I'm not cut out for it. I can never be a member of the Kliq.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to ask you though. Now Sean Waltman, Workrate. I want to talk about Workrate. HBK, Scott, Waltman. Cornette gave the verdict on you already with the 5 moves. But when you guys would ride with someone, was the work rate something that was important that got that guy over with you?
Yeah.
To be on the road?
I mean, because it's so different when you're, and I'll always make references, like I was for the money. It was, it wasn't for the money back then because we weren't getting paid shit. One of my balls stuck to the inside of my thigh here. Ugh.
Adjusting the bedpan?
Yeah. So, but when we got in the car at night, man, it was like Brady or somebody watching films. Like we went over everybody's match spots, da 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 da. It wasn't like, name your top 5 albums. Well, we talk business 24/7. And if you weren't in that mindset, then there wasn't a place for you in that car.
Did all of you want to be in a creative position in a major company, or did you all just enjoy performing?
We wanted to have the ability to go out, work with each other, and then for the next 4.5 hours, get in a van, drink beer, and put each other over how great we were.
Right. No aspirations to be on the writing team with Bishop, booking with Bishop someday, or.
But I mean, there was like Paul showed like early signs of brilliance when they booked the second ladder match, and Vince basically told Scott and Sean that they could not use the ladder as a weapon, because at that point we weren't competing against we were competing against Disney. So we had to tame down a ladder match, and we were in we're in Worcester, I think, at a Hampton Inn, and we're just sitting there, and Paul just kind of pieced this thing together, and everybody kind of chipped in, but like Paul laid the skeleton, and that was kind of one of those things where I was just, in my mind, I was just like, wow, like the time when Shawn Michaels got like knocked out, and we did the thing where the announcers stopped and the boys came from the back with the kick, it's when he lost his smile and all that shit. Well, we booked that. Sean thinks he was part of it. Sean was unconscious when we booked it. That was about 30% me, 30% Paul, and 30% Scott and Sean. But it was like Paul and I were up front, so we were kind of like, oh, and then right, because that was just right after Ripken had beaten Garrick's streak for games.
Oh,
and remember they took him around in a car around the outfield and everything, and they were silent on ESPN. They didn't say a word. They just let the moment become organic. And it was such a
the power of that stood on its own.
We wanted to do the same thing. We wanted like the announcers not to go into any bullshit, because to this day. I was watching AEW a couple weeks ago. I actually pulled my son in on this, and somebody got hurt, and one of the people called medic. I'm like, what is this, fucking Saving Private Ryan?
Don't you do that at home when someone needs?
Well, I always thought for years, I always thought when you got injured, fucking you called a referee. Because, three referees would come down, and fuck. So.
But I want to touch on the Soma story for a minute. But Paul, Triple H he didn't do drugs as far as I know, right?
No.
Right? Didn't even really drink, from what I understand, right?
I think I got him buzzed on the last day of a European tour in Switzerland, and only because I was pounding pina coladas with him, and he couldn't taste the alcohol, and he liked coconut. He was like, "These are good," and all of a sudden he just like, he didn't take much because he didn't drink. He was just like, "All right, I get it. Yeah, it's a cool feeling. Not for me."
You
Yeah.
worked him with a pina colada to get him. It's like an
got to.
episode of Gilligan's Island.
That's right, man.
Here, little buddy, take a sip.
But the thing with Paul is like we got close really fast because he loves bodybuilding, and like one of the first couple of conversations we ever had late at night driving was, can you name all the Mr. Olympias? Starting from Larry Scott going forward.
Oh my God! Wow.
And it was just like he was spot on. I mean, bang, 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 bang. And then, so we started training together. And at that time, there's a guy named Mike Menzer who was doing this thing called heavy duty training. And Dorian Yates had kind of taken it and ratcheted it up a level. So you did the basic philosophy of it was you can take a stick of dynamite and set it on a concrete floor, and you can tap it with a hammer 1,000 times and nothing will happen. But if you take a 25-pound sledgehammer and hit that stick of dynamite, there's a chance that it'll fucking explode. That's kind of what the process was of what you did. You trained these super intense, long single sets, and you took muscles to positive failure, negative failure, rest, pause. I mean, it was a short, like you could do a body part in 25, 30 minutes.
Were you into Vince was very into bodybuilding too. He started that
Yeah.
World Bodybuilding Federation, which
Yeah.
anyone could have seen was going to be a disaster. What, do
Oh,
you remember-
the only reason that failed is because of the drug trial.
well, the drug trial too, but what could you have aired? The excitement of professional wrestling, which was WWF at the time's calling card, WBF. It was
It's-
posing. They were trying to make personalities out of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was trying to take what pro bodybuilding was at the time and give those guys personalities.
Yeah, I don't know. Were you a fan? Were you tuning in every week?
No, because I mean, we were subsidizing it. We're out there banging around subsidizing it. So
Drinking
I mean,
that
I
Ico
thought-
Pro,
I thought-
baby. Drinking some of that Ico Pro.
I thought Gary Stridham had a great physique, but fuck, man, you're killing me over here.
Was that the baby face that he kind of put in as the face of the
Stridham was
company? Stridham.
Stridham never won the Olympia. I think he might have won an Arnold or a Night Champions or something. He was a very gifted bodybuilder.
Yeah. Well, we should have him on. We'll talk about
Okay.
the snatch. The snatch and jerk. There's some great names in bodybuilding. I do enjoy hearing someone talk about the clean jerk and the snatch and all that shit.
That's not bodybuilding. That's powerlifting. That's actually Olympic lifting.
May I never know the difference. Drugs and Triple H. I was going to ask you, he seems like an odd choice to be in the Kliq because you guys were notorious partiers. That's part of the Kliq. When you think about the Kliq, you think of a couple of things. Number one, the power play element to being a member of the Kliq and the headache you gave any promoter. And B, partying. He did not party. It's odd to me. He seemed like an outlier to be part of your group. What would he do? You guys are with the 34 somas, the 33 somas.
That was early.
You're sleeping on an amplifier.
No,
What's Paul doing?
I was early in the run because when Paul joined us, I was a world champion. So I mean, I wasn't. I had too many. I was way. My reins had been way pulled back as far as how hard I was running. It wasn't like I was the fucking bodyguard. Had one spot a night I had to remember, and I could just fucking go out there and just be like, "Whoa, man, do I feel fucking rough."
Did that make Paul always the designated driver, maybe, for you guys after the
I mean,
show?
a lot of the times you did, but there was a lot of times that I drove. You know, it was always nice to have somebody I knew, and he knew, vice versa, that would be awake to talk to. Because fucking 4 hours, man, with FM radio back in the day was pretty rough.
Right. Who had control of the radio when you guys were in the car? Was it whoever was driving, or you guys all had it?
Yeah, most of the times. It was really weird because when I came in, like, Shawn Michaels and Scott Hall were fucking country music guys.
Scott was?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was just like, all right, maybe play a couple of my fucking. I throw a Luther Vandross in there somewhere.
As soon as this Conway Twitty's over, can I get some of the Commodores or something? Yeah. He's with Chyna in '96. Is he riding with you still? Because there is some overlap. You go to WCW in '96, but there is some overlap, right?
Yeah, we leave in June.
Right.
Yeah. So we're yeah.
So Joni by proxy becomes Kliq. Or
Joey?
just yeah.
No. Because we're gone.
Yeah, but he's not with her before that?
No. She wasn't there when I was there.
Okay.
The first time. She came along like, when they started the DX thing.
Why didn't he go to WCW in '96? I know great things would come with him with DX and everything, but he had a chance to go, right, make the money you guys were making. Did you talk about it?
I think because he had just signed. He had another year. It was a 3-year deal. He had another year left.
Was there any consideration that he might go when the deal was over?
No, because by the time he got out of he was in the doghouse for so long after that curtain call, and he just, he was a good soldier, man. He just took his punishment and got a spot.
Did he talk to you about it? The time that he stayed after you left and he had to do the penance.
Well, he was. I think we're all kind of pissed that Sean didn't do a better job of protecting him. But Sean was in a bad place at that time too, and it was. Paul really, did the best he could with that, and then eventually, I think Timmy White, God bless him, man, became the caretaker for Sean.
We've talked multiple times in different things we've done together about the curtain call, and it's been talked about ad nauseum. But the point I want to make is Vince didn't have the problem with this that everybody seemed to think he did. You told me on air on something else that you ran it by him. I think we talked here 1 week that you were like, listen,
he said right when I was there, he said to Shawn Michaels, he said, if it's important to you,
If it's
important to you, it's important to me. Go ahead and do it.
So why is their punishment meted out after the fact?
I think the fact that was it, and then we actually left.
What do you think you were going to stay?
Hey, I talked to Briscoe at the Garden, and that afternoon he said, "Man," he says, "Vince doesn't know why." I said, "Why don't they come over here and talk to me instead of you?" So I people think that we were going to WCW and it was some juggernaut. That was fucking. I say it 1,000 times. The pay-per-view before we came was the monster truck on Cobo Hall. The Giant fucking got pushed over the side of the parking garage and landed 12 stories down and was in the main event and got ass raped. The real summer of '92 by the Yeti, Ron Reese.
Oh, right.
So I mean, it was
a charming visual.
Wasn't like we were going. To fucking.
But so maybe it was so then. Okay, so he says, listen, this is important to you, but then it happens, and is this just to send shockwaves through the boys? Maybe that no one else better try this.
Well, he had just lost two of the biggest shit stirs in the fucking company. Yeah.
So no, I know, but I there would have been an element of me that was like, hey, dickbag, behind closed doors, you said it's important to you. Now I'm not going to get the fucking belt next month because of this shit.
No, yeah, but Sean had the belt. That was the whole. That was the whole thing. Sean already had the belt.
I'm talking about Triple H being denied.
Well, he was supposed to. He was supposed to win. King of the Ring.
King of the Ring. That's what it was.
And that ended up going to Steve. Ended up going to Steve. So I think that everything we did seemed to have some kind of a butterfly effect to everything else. You know, you can fucking hate us all you want, but boy, just sure as I got Steve in the door. I said, man, I got a buddy to Vince, you know. I said, I got a buddy, man, that's fucking like unbelievable, you know. And you know, they did that stupid ringmaster thing with him, and then eventually, you know, like, you know, you ain't gonna hold that motherfucker down. Like Steve was driven, and all he needed was that, you know, he needed a little bit of a daylight to, you know, to get his thing going.
Mm. You know, talking about riding with the Kliq and road stories, and listen, it's a pertinent time to tell you that this segment's brought to you by Carshield, which makes it easy and affordable to protect my car from expensive repairs. And that's just for starters. Carshield is the #1 auto protection company in the United States, and it offers protection plans for around $100 a month. The plan covers more parts than ever before, whether your car has 5,000 miles or 150,000 miles. Let me tell you how simple it is to get your car fixed. When you need a repair, you choose the mechanic. Carshield's administrators handle the rest. That's it. You don't have to deal with paperwork, headaches. You don't have to go in and ask Vince if you can hug anybody in the ring after the match. That's it. It's taken care of for you. Same goes if your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road. Plans through Carshield also include coast-to-coast roadside assistance. Carshield administrators are there for you with rental car options and trip reimbursement at no cost, too. You guys covered all your trans, right? You had to get your rental cars. I mean, that shit wasn't covered for you, right?
Oh, yeah, everything. No, we paid for all, you know, everything was.
Would you whack it up 4 ways or?
Yeah, four. I tell you what, it made a difference when you whacked it up 5 ways.
Right.
You know.
Get your coverage today, okay? You're going to lock in a price, and it's never going to go up. That's the magic here. So that means as long as you own your car, no matter how old it is, you're going to be protected from the rising costs of parts and repairs for your vehicle. Carshield helps protect my wallet from expensive car repairs, and they're going to do the same for you. Go to carshield.com/podcast. Start your plan, lock in your pricing forever. That's carshield.com/podcast. A deductible may apply. So after, so you're gone, Scott's gone, you're doing your thing. Now the on-screen marriage with Steph, right, in 2000, this leads to, obviously, some real-life dating. Are you guys in touch still? I mean, you're working elsewhere, but you're still in touch. You're still friends.
Yeah, I mean, when he was in China, they came out to the house and stayed in Arizona. When they came through there, we all went and caught a workout. I mean, it was just, we stayed friends. I think Paul was, I'm almost positive Paul was the first person in the Kliq to hold my son.
Right. So he talked to you when he started dating Stephanie.
Yes.
Was this a surprise? You obviously knew Steph and the family and Shane and everybody.
Yeah. No. You know, I mean, I've always been a fan of Steph. So I mean, it was just like, I just was, you know, curious how that, you know, how his exit strategy worked out.
If it didn't work out.
No, I'm talking about Chyna.
Oh, you know, but it's also valid to say, listen, dude, this doesn't work out. What's your exit strategy here?
Black and white T-shirt on the other show.
Yeah. So exit strategy with Chyna, because she's still there. Obviously, you're saying, right? So she's there. She's in the angle. DX.
There was some tension there. I think Joni said she was gonna end Steph's life, and it was fucked up.
Yeah. But it works out, I guess. You know, certainly for Triple H and Stephanie and Shane McMahon. Where did you see Shane McMahon's future in the WWE? Where'd you see him possibly sliding into someday?
Yeah, it was so early into the. I mean, it wasn't like there was anybody was thinking of Vince going anywhere. It wasn't like, wow, Stephanie is going to be taking over this, or, you know, somebody's going to be doing that, or it just, you know. And by the time, you know, Paul started getting more office responsibilities. Yeah, I remember one time we sat down and he was just getting NXT started. And so I went over to Full Sail and we sat down in the bleachers and we were just talking. He was just saying how, you know, it's such a, like, to shoot wrestling, to work a truck for wrestling, like wrestling was such a specific, you know, skill set. It wasn't like, and what we did a lot of times when we were at TNT is, you know, the guys that shot wrestling, you know, maybe shot Nitro last week, we shot Talladega the next week. You know, so we had our handheld guys but some of the guys that worked just basically your hard cameras were just they were rotated in and out.
Your production, you're talking about your production
Yeah.
staff.
So
But in a family company, though, I mean, no one thought Vince was going. But when there's somebody who is the head of the company and the whole family is involved, there has to be discussion about, what do you think that'll be his someday, or what do you think they're going to have him do? Is he be telling me what to do some week? Is he going to stay a talent maybe? Where do you think Shane would have fit? Was there any discussion about Shane and Stephanie and where they would have been?
Not that, you know, not that I was privy to. Not
Okay.
that, you know, I just, it wasn't like something I was going to ask. Because it
just meant your own mind, knowing Shane, knowing Stephanie.
But I heard that he was taking over like the media aspect of it.
Yeah, new media, I think was the department.
And it was just like that was. I said to myself, "This is perfect." Like he's always, you know, like I said before, he's a cool dude. He's on top of shit. So, you know, if there were going to be new revenue streams, you know, they're going to be different things. You know, put somebody that's that has that vision.
When you come back in with the NWO, right? Are you guys riding together again with Paul?
No. It's just me and Scott.
Right. So this
and Hulk, I mean, and Hulk too. Hulk was amazing, but that was it was such a short run.
Yeah.
You know, Hulk didn't make house shows, so me and Scott. Just,
that's right. Yeah.
Me and Scott just got a Cadillac and just, you know, made the show house for ourselves.
Put some Merle Haggard on the radio and just roll, right?
10 epic hits.
Now Vince gets rid of the NWO, right? Is this because it was Eric's? Could he have ridden that for 5 years if he wanted to, or is it just you always shut down the competition's brainchild?
Yeah, we were fucked.
Yeah. Did you think it could go? Did you think you had a shot?
When we like I said, when we were the number one selling T-shirt week one, I had an idea we might have some traction. Yeah.
Now he's not yet in any official position of authority, right? When you come back,
no.
But I mean, you guys aren't morons. They're married now. You have to be having some consideration that he's going to possibly be in a position of authority with the company. Maybe not. Maybe you weren't thinking in terms of an executive position, but certainly in the creative and booking and writing.
Like you have to realize, like from my standpoint, like my buddy blows his quad, and I'm just more worried. Like that point, I mean, me and Disco went down and got in the ring with him in Birmingham, you know, as he was getting ready, and like I went down there a couple times and just you know we went out to sushi and shit when he was just hanging out down in Birmingham, and we were more concerned, like we were in the moment. Like I remember when he came back, and I think it was the Garden. He came back, and it was just, you know, he looked amazing, you know, and he was always such a workhorse, and he just had, you know, he'd been gone a while, and it was just like he picked up right where he left off, and you know he had so many great runs with so many guys up there, And Paul was always really giving, so.
But the consideration, though, of course he's a great worker, all that stuff. We know all that, right? But his marital position in the McMahon family has to be a consideration with you guys as far as his future being in control.
Yeah, I mean, but no. Like, we're not. In retrospect, yeah, it happened, but like nobody's thinking, wow, it's Vince is always going to be in charge. Like that's the
Right.
That's why everybody got a bump last fucking week. Because
But
it's
no,
no, he wasn't going fucking anywhere.
no, like, hey, this is a good guy to have as a best friend right about now.
No. I fucking think, no, Vince ain't going fucking nowhere. So it's just like, you're always going to, what are you going to be, 2, 3? You're not going to bat fucking clean up. That's just the way it is. It ain't going to fucking happen.
His positions over time. I mean, the verbiage and the corporate titles, executive vice president of talent and live events, executive vice president of global talent strategy and development. Then actually, there was a step in the middle there. 2013 would have been executive VP of talent, live events, and creative. And so now he's doing his thing. About 2010, I'm going to say, is the first official corporate title that's handed down, which was executive senior advisor. Was that ultimately just like a talent type thing? When you say executive senior advisor, not on the business end, but senior advisor on working with talent, developing talent, choosing talent?
I think at that time, the Ohio Valley was up and running.
Lean a little closer to that mic. Don't. I know it's big and black, but do not be scared of it.
I think that he was working. I mean, Ohio Valley Wrestling was up and running. They had that Florida champ. I think like the first.
Before the Florida developmental.
Yeah, they had that. And then, so I know he was involved in all of the phases of those, and then eventually, the Performance Center was, I think, pretty much his brainchild. But the thing was also that Paul was very instrumental in as they became more of a global entity. We did Europe. We ran Europe. We didn't. We did India, did Israel. We weren't global. We didn't go to South America. We didn't go to fucking, we didn't go to Rome, didn't go to Paris, I wrestled all those places and indies. And so they started having, rings and, put in these, and they warehouse shit in each of these countries so they weren't dragging it around. I mean, so they were, and he was in charge of a lot of just those small specifics on making it just logistically easier to globally run house shows.
Oh, that's interesting. So when you got global, there would be like a hub near certain places you were where there was a WWE ring to your specifications. Because, of course, years before, it was whatever ring they set up in Puerto Rico, or Mukesh wheeled a ring into, Pakistan.
Then we had an office in London. WWE had an office in London. We started, the company really started it, and that was all after it went public.
I have never heard a bad word about him ever. From the developmental guys that I've talked to, the name guys. And I'm talking about of course, on camera. No one wants to say anything about Triple H. I understand that. But, like, even off camera, like, he's somehow just, like, always maintained a squeaky clean reputation. And it's not always as obvious as, well, he's a good guy. So no one's, I've heard people I thought were good guys have shit talked about them by people that were jealous or.
You'd have to meet his mother and father.
Oh, tell me.
His mother and father are like salt of the earth. They're just, two of the nicest human beings on the planet. His socialization process is, I mean, is close to Leave It to Beaver as probably you could have.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, it just, I guess when you don't go through life with a fucking backpack full of fucking baggage, I think that maybe life's a little bit,
I didn't think such people existed, but I guess I'm glad
you know,
to hear
I
that
didn't,
people without baggage exist.
he just didn't have any.
Right.
You know, he just never, you know, he had, it was almost like fucking, it was strange because I've just never been around anybody with no vices. You know?
Right.
Like, like, wow, like, you're really fucking talented. You cut a good promo. You're funny as fuck. You don't miss a workout. And you don't have any vices.
Does that make them boring?
No.
No?
He's funny as fuck.
Somebody's
Got a great
everyone's got
sense of humor.
something. Some people, even if it ain't drugs or some monkey on their back, people fuck their pets or something, right?
Only in Florida, man.
Right. So what do we bottle? Okay, let's have some kind of summation here. We want to make the perfect professional wrestling corporate executive / worker / creative. What do we bottle from Paul Levesque?
Levesque.
You don't pronounce the S, huh?
What do you bottle from him? Number one thing you would bottle from him is his passion for the business. And he's also fucking a student of the business. You know, I think that's huge. I think that if you know the history of most things, especially if you know the downfalls of corporations or anything, if you know the history, then the chance of you repeating that is a lot. It's very limited as opposed to you know, being somebody that like maybe was the 45th president that wanted the troops to be more like they were towards Adolf Hitler, and then the general said, well, you know, they tried to kill Adolf Hitler 3 times. He goes, didn't know that. How about the fucking movie with fucking Tom Cruise? Huh? Remember that one? And the fucking, I said to myself, I'm like, who the fuck sees this movie? The trailer's telling you that Cruise and his fucking cohorts are going to assassinate Hitler. I know history. I know that motherfucker didn't get assassinated. So what's the upside of me seeing this fucking film? I know the finish.
Could be speculative fiction. Speculative historical fiction.
I don't know.
But a lot of people are students of the game. You know, you've worked with people who are great students of the game. I've worked with Jim Cornette, great student of the game, could talk for hours about any promotion and what worked, what didn't work, and that. But is there something? Is he a great listener? Is he someone who is?
He's got an eye for talent.
Okay, right.
He's got an eye for talent. That's for sure. Look at the guys, you know, look at the people that he you know, he's kind of handpicked and pushed up on the WWE product on Raw. And they were just like, every time one of them went up there, man, it was just like, how quick can we dismantle what got him over and fuck this dude up? Like, I just, you know, it was just like when he got sick, when he had the heart episode. They couldn't fucking get down there and dismantle what he had built in NXT quick enough. I thought that was fucked up, man. And
what was the impetus for that? Why?
I don't fucking know. I asked Shawn about it, you know, Shawn Michaels, and he was just like, you know, Shawn, you know, is so changed. He's not, you know, he's not a shit disturber anymore. He does his job. He does it well, and he does the best he can, and he goes home to his family.
Maybe today's Shawn wouldn't have been in the Kliq.
Yeah, he would.
Not enough
we've
of a politician and a shit stirrer.
No, but we're all fucking. We're all different now.
None of you fucking guys are click worthy anymore. You just got a show with the name on it.
Oh fuck, I'll take it.
All right, Kliq This, Kevin Nash podcast. You are a part of this show. So the hashtag is Ask Nash. We want you to do it every week. Be a part of it. What do you want him to talk about? To talk about anything. That's the thing you love about the show, right? This is what I read about the show all the time. Oh, they could talk about politics. They could talk about wrestling. They could, well, this is your chance to.
We could talk about the fact that the fucking Russians are going into the overcrowded prisons and offering for 6 months time on the front lines in the Ukraine amnesty along with $3,500 a month pay.
How's that on the conversion, the 35? I imagine that's quite good.
That's too high. Well, I mean, I think it's between 100,000 and 200,000 rubles. So
getting a little thin over there?
Well, it seems to me uniform? Seems to me like fucking. If you're going to prison to fucking get, but they did fucking say that they wouldn't take any pedophiles or rapists. So I mean they're taking the cream of the crop. Murderers were fine,
right?
Murderers were fucking. I think they were actually going to fucking look at them as going. And they had a 2-week training before in Russia before they sent them down to the Ukraine.
The murderers have to be trained how to murder, like an organized murder, as opposed to beheading the shop owner that got them in there. Right.
I thought that was an interesting. I read that today. I didn't watch it on NBC or anything else. I actually read it.
Peter D, though, would like you to talk about, he said, Kevin, Mrs. Nash cannot have had an easy marriage with you on the road so much. Can you guys give us any stories about her, and has she had any click interactions, any tips for a good long marriage that is rare in wrestling? Thank you. That is a fascinating question. We should have your wife on. Would she like to do an entire show instead of you, maybe, where we can talk about you the entire time?
No.
You just can't be present.
No, my wife wouldn't want to do that. She
I wouldn't want to ask my wife to do that.
My wife has had several volleys of the Kliq in and out of our home.
Who's her favorite member? Leave the joke alone. It's the member. Who's her favorite Kliq member?
I think I've never had that conversation with her. Who's your favorite?
No, but who she's like, oh, not Scott again, or no. Oh, it'd be nice to see Sean again,
No, it was just, honey, the boys are coming. It's not like we have fucking people in our house. We had some guy today that we had a new hurricane shutter put on in the master bedroom, and this fucking guy came in today, and you could just tell the fucking heat he's got. Like, what the fuck are you? They called. He missed his window, and I'm shitting my brains out. So I'm not in a good mood. I answer the door in my underwear. Like sorry, I'm not gonna put on a pair of shorts. I have 2 things I got to tug down between my next squirt. He's like, where's this at? He said, upstairs. Come on, I'll walk you. I walked him upstairs, and he pushed the button and went up and down twice. I said, we done? He said, yeah. I walked him out.
I know you. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking, and you said, hold on, I have a house full of people. I was like, was it your anniversary or something? What the house full of people? Your place? But now, do you restrict your wife's desire to be more social because you're so reclusive?
No.
She's okay with a quieter lifestyle.
She lived fucking, I don't know, 15 years with me gone 300 plus days a year. My wife's quiet, intelligent, loves to read. When she had my son, she was a mom.
Mm-hmm.
So she's an education major. She taught for a while.
She just want to go out with the Joneses down the street for a steak.
No, we've got friends. you know, but you know, it's kind of a pain in the ass when you go out places too. Sometimes people, you just want to sit there with your friends, and it's where we live in an area that's a very high dense vacation spot, and you get fucked with. So it's easier to fucking just kick the grill on in the back, and I don't do shit. I just sit in my fucking chair the whole time. Other people cook.
Tristan works the grill.
No, fuck no. He's like me. It's like, fuck that. These guys that have this like the grill master guys. No. I'm Bob Nash. I'm Bob Nash's kid. There's a guy up on the corner that makes fucking barbecue. Have that motherfucker bring it over in his car.
Dan Aguirre, I always wanted to know why Diesel wasn't on Wrestlemania, the arcade game, despite being champion at the time of its release in November 1995. As an early smart mark, I thought Nash must be leaving WWF. Perhaps a coincidence?
I have no idea.
Okay. Some of those things people
didn't know I wasn't on it.
I was gonna say it's like that Shatner bit for the.
Yeah, sorry, I was on the fucking road every day of my life. I wasn't in the arcades making sure it was wasn't like you got fucking paid any royalties back then.
Caleb Enter says, is he a conservative liberal or a liberal conservative? A conservative Democrat or a liberal Republican? Something further right or left or more in the middle? How best would Diesel describe his political position? Would you like to label yourself? I think you said centrist Democrat is what you said, right?
Yeah. I mean, nowadays, fucking Goldwater would be fucking to the left. Yeah, Jesus.
Robert,
I got a question. Okay, I did see something the other day, and they were talking about, and I do see these things with these guys come and they say, I guess you being pro-choice, you don't care about the father in this predicament. Yeah, because most guys are so fucking righteous on taking care of their kids, they run fucking 13 states to get away from them. But then they say, they during the abortion, the fetus can feel pain. I'm like, okay, I was wide fucking awake, alive. They cut the end of my cock off, called a circumcision. Who remembers their circumcision out there? Raise their fucking hand. Huh? Felt pain? What was it? Was it a searing pain? I missed it.
In the gender debate, do you subscribe to the notion that if men gave birth, that abortion would not only be legal, but probably covered by every insurance company and available on every corner?
Yeah, probably mandatory.
All right.
You imagine fucking some guy walking around fucking absolutely vulnerable with a big fucking dirt. Well, some of the fat fucks I see walking around the airports look like they're about ready to break water. So I don't know.
Robert out of nowhere, who is one superstar that no one in the locker room would fight?
Ron Simmons. I've never seen anybody fucking. Haku.
I was going to say, Haku. You always hear Haku, right?
Haku's a gimme.
Right.
Haku was one of those guys when you just looked at him, you're just like, where do you hurt him? His fucking wrist is this big, It's like a fucking Panzer tank.
I mean, people have seen exchanges between him and Frisky Marks at bars, right? Where he hey, who knows how far the lore takes these things.
Here's one for you.
Single-handedly lift.
Here's one for you.
Go ahead.
Matt
Bourne.
Matt Bourne what?
One of the guys that you wouldn't mess with.
No. So they did this angle, and it was Haku versus Big Show, and they were sumos. They were a sumo deal, and fucking they took off, and fucking Haku just with his hands, like an offensive lineman, basically push show in like 2 seconds to the corner. It was unbelievable. Like his explosiveness, his strength.
In a shoot?
No, it's fucking. It was a gimmick for TV. It was during Nitros. That's something to look up out there, guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have to bring some video up of that.
Yeah.
CJ Williams, I came back to Twitter to ask Nash why Wilkes Barre is always his go-to small town to use as examples and stories. Always makes me chuckle being I live 10 minutes away. Here is photographic proof of me and Kevin in Scranton, PA years ago, and this photo of you and him taking a picture. It is a fun name to say, right? I always go to Pawhuska, Oklahoma. As a shout out to Chief J Strongbow, but also because it sounds fun. Is it just because of the Wilkes Barre? Is it Barre or Bear? What's the pronounce? Barre. Wilkes Barre?
Wilkes Barre.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it because I've overused the Sheboygan, Michigan, too many times in my life. So
And the coastal towns in
all the coastal towns
in Sweden,
in Czechoslovakia.
Well, it is.
When is somebody going to realize that's a rib?
Oh, they know. I would think they know.
I don't think they do. I don't think that.
I think I'm gonna have to scour Twitter to see.
So I was talking to my son, and he's got some friends that are Czechs, and they don't say they're fucking Czech republics. They say they're from Czechoslovakia, because that's where the fuck they. I mean, you know. So I guess if you're a map maker and you live in America, it's the Czech Republic, but.
If you're from there, you honor the history.
Yeah, if you're from there, especially one of the coastal towns, it's Czechoslovakia.
You know,
shaken, not stirred.
You know what I'm realizing here for the first time tonight? God damn it, we didn't do the bunkhouse stampede.
Oh fuck!
Again,
I had so much fucking.
I was good. I was taped before.
You're
gonna teach me how to get color.
I can't even. Let me see if I put this down here. I actually got my fucking Wrestling Territories T-shirt on.
I know. You know what? Maybe we'll work on it for next week. I'm gonna try and make that happen. But
4-hour mega show.
Yeah, Megasode. Yes, the Megasode. Megasode.
Megadon.
Schmegasode. In the Baja. McMahon. No Jesse at all. I just want to point out this week. No bunkhouse, no Jesse. Everyone's gone.
Why don't you tell me, Oliver, why we didn't have Jesse? Why we didn't have bunkhouse? Huh? It's a conspiracy.
We had Paul Levesque, and there's
I'll tell you right now. Fucking, I'm looking behind you, and it looks like a fucking canister of thermite.
Kliq This is a production of Butch and Sundance Media, producers associated with Podcast Heat. Producer Steve Kaufman, graphics by Dominic D'Angelo, title sequence by Wesley Burleson. It's on the way, trust me. Theme song by Dale Oliver. Technical research by Tristan Nash. Copyright 2022, Butch and Sundance Media. Kev, I gotta ask you, do you feel like doing another one?
I got diarrhea. Yeah.
You get that taken care of before the next one.
I gotta pull this one together quick. Fucking Mickey cut me.